We have four speakers who are with us tonight, and I am happy to introduce them to you. Our first one is, to be a speaker tonight, you had to have an E in your title, because we have an educator, we have an entrepreneur, we have an executive, and we have an enthusiast. Did you make that up?
Yes.
Enthusiast. Okay. So let me introduce, she's a principal of Community Collaborative Charter School in West Sacramento. Her strength, her number one strength is woo. Woo. Followed by strategic communication, activator, and focus. She's worked in the classroom as a teacher, also as a lead teacher, a mentor teacher, a master teacher, and a summer school administrator in both the public and the charter school sectors. In 2008, however, she joined the charter school movement when she was asked to join Gateway Community Charters, where she has served as both a vice principal and a principal for 3 years. In her own words, when I discovered Gateway Community Charters, I knew I'd found a special place that I would call home for many years to come. She's worked with a talented staff and involved parents. I'm sure there's lots of teachers who would love to have that. And since she's always prioritized partnerships with families and communities, joining the Gateway Community Charter team was a natural fit for her. She received her BA in Liberal Studies at San Diego State University, enjoyed the weather there while she was there, I'm sure. Her teaching credentials through Cal State Fresno, and is currently completing her California administrative credential. And when she's not working, she enjoys spending time with her husband, Zach, and son, Jackson, at their water skiing lake in Clarksburg, California. How old is Jackson? 2, 3, 2.5? Is he on one ski yet? No? Okay. Yeah. We'll have to find out if he's a maximizer, achiever, or something like that. Please welcome Toolie Younger. Is Toolie on your birth certificate? And you can share what's on your birth certificate? Okay.
If it doesn't take away.
No. Okay, let me stop. Go.
No, my actual birth name is Jacqueline, which I don't even know if my teachers know that. I was born in Holland, Michigan in April, the day of the Tulip Festival. And so my family nicknamed me Little Tulip, which made me Toolie, and that has always been what I've been called. So Jacqueline is Warren's name, it's not mine. So my birth certificate, that's about it. And Marilyn, watch out, I'm a Woo as well. And my phone just died, so you're in love. You're surprised, because I was going to. Awesome. So he's a college grade, he's got my name's Toolie Younger, and so he's had a charter school, been in education for 10 years, both in the traditional district and the charter school sector. So who am I, right? So who's this lady standing up here? I'm a lifelong learner who's dedicated to working with all stakeholders to improve the current state of education for all students. I think we can all agree that the state of education does need to be improved. This is a picture of me in my last kindergarten class back in 2008, our field trip to Dave's Pumpkin Patch in West Sac. I've always worked at Title I low socioeconomic schools. We serve traditionally underserved populations. Right now, I'm in West Sac serving the Slavic community, and we have about 90% English language learners. So that's where I am now. My top 5, and Paul already said this is Woo, strategic, communication, activator, and focus. I put an apple near the things that I'm going to kind of go into tonight and highlight. Woo, I didn't highlight, or communication, because that's just who I am. It's what I do, and I don't really see that in my path. I know it is, but tonight I'm going to talk about how strategic, activator, and focus has really the themes that have brought me to where I am. These things I keep having to sharpen the saw and work on to accomplish my mission of getting all students to be actively engaged, passionate learners who are positive contributing members of their community. That's really where we want them to be. So where did my journey begin? Many, many years ago, these are my first couple years teaching. For 4 years, I worked in the traditional public, so the non-charter sector, in a variety of teaching and leadership roles. I loved my job, and I worked really, really hard at it, but I had this continual sinking feeling that there was just a big missing piece to it. Most of the teachers I knew, not all of them, but most of them worked their tails off. We just couldn't seem to get ahead of the game of the achievement gap with our needy kids. It was clear to me that the state and federal mandated programs were just not meeting the needs of our students. These were our babies. We wanted them to meet the goals that we set for them. We had to do something different to get to them. There had to be a better way. We just had a gut feeling. So that's what the path kind of recommends, is that traditional education was going one way, and I just had this nagging feeling that there was another way for me and my kids. The activator in me. So this is where my strengths come in before I even know it. I was just really frustrated with the system and the generally accepted status quo. So I began to become involved in leadership opportunities. It wasn't because I wanted to talk about the problems. I didn't want to sit there and say this is wrong and this is wrong, but instead I just wanted to immediately implement solutions. So I was a grade level chair, a union rep, an after school program administrator, hosted parent nights, tutoring, a lot of things. Some were intimidated by this let's do it now, right now approach, but most people were inspired by my commitment. My woo and my communication really did come in handy during these times, because I needed to get people on the education bus and needed them to be on the bus now, today, not tomorrow. Most educational programs, I'm sure you've heard in the news and such, are characterized by lethargy and inertia, which just drives me crazy. So instead of showing my frustration and nagging about it, I really took it as an opportunity for me to become more involved and be diplomatically pushed to create much needed momentum in what was missing in so much of the traditional education setting. So the frustration with where I was and the scripted curriculums that we all had to follow and having to fit all of my kids into the exact same box just led me to seek to alternative education models. And I found my way to Gateway Community Charters. I was first hired as a teacher there, and then I became a lead teacher, a mentor teacher, vice principal, and a principal. All of the administrators at Gateway Community Charters, vice principals, head administrators, were required to take the strengths finders. Day one, you get the job, here's your book, take it, you don't come into the meetings until you have your top 5 and you're ready to discuss them. And that's the first time I took mine in 2010. It's in all aspects of our instructional leadership. It is used as a part of our end-of-year evaluation process, so we set our goals in July, and we carry them out throughout the year. It's who we are and what we do. Balconies and basements are part of our everyday speech, and we're able to really speak that to each other. This is really a basement I'm struggling with. I need your help on this. I've been with the Gateway Community Charters now for 7 years, and I've been able to have those difficult conversations that I didn't want to have around the problems in the system, but I've been empowered to seek change. I've been supported and encouraged with every initiative along the way. The transition from the teacher to the administrator in 2010 was a big one. It was life-changing. It was exciting, yet it was intimidating. I had the power and the position to actually do things the way that I wanted them to be done when I was a teacher. And that was a big responsibility for me. I knew that I had to get this right. So the focus in me. The focus in me drives me to constantly set and achieve goals. It's powerful because it forces me to filter. I instinctively evaluate whether or not an initiative or change in course will help me towards the goal. That's what I want to achieve, right? If something isn't helping us move towards that, then it's not important and I'm able to cut it. The survey says that 73% of Americans said that one of the most serious problems facing education is a lack of good teachers. More than a job, teaching is a calling. And teaching with your strengths helps educators fulfill the mission of that calling. The responsibility for educating our society and rests entirely on elementary and secondary school teachers. That's major. We need them to be great, right? And that's my job. We need to be great. It's big. So think about what's at stake. It's our children. It's their futures. Ultimately, it's all of our futures. It's painstakingly important to get it right. It hasn't been right for a long time, and we need to challenge that. We need to ask why. We need to shake things up. We need to move on to bigger and better things. I need to get my teachers from good to outstanding. The journey continues. Once I became a principal, I really started to understand the power of leading with my strengths and how beneficial it was for myself and others. I really wanted to bring this to my teaching team, but I wasn't really sure how I was going to do that. The focus in me needed a clear destination, and I wasn't sure how to tackle the dream of coaching my teachers and ultimately our students into leading with their own strengths. Then Educator grew us with Youth Development Network, Brandon Miller, and they gave me clarity and direction of how to start the first steps in a lifelong journey of helping others move with their strengths. The strategic in me allows me to see patterns and others see complexity. I am captivated by the what ifs that lie ahead. I understand new ventures should not be attempted without adequate planning and preparation. I gather a ton of information and data, make selections until I arrive at a chosen path. That's my strategy. I ask what if, I select, and I strike. So what are we moving towards? So first we gotta get the teachers, right? So I have 11 amazing people at Community Collaborative Charter School in West Sacramento. We're currently doing a book study with Teach With Your Strengths, which is the 2.0 assessment. And we're working with assessments, education, activate, and then accelerate. I want them to have action plans to utilize their strengths on a daily basis with the goal of teaching, engaging, and empowering the students in their strength zone every instructional moment of the day. Sounds exhausting, right? This is why we need the right people for these jobs. We have to make the very most of every second we give these kids because we can't spare even one. So once we get the teachers, then we get the kids. So next year I plan on implementing Strengths Explorer with my students and their families and empowering the families to understand strengths about their kids, their 10 to 14-year-olds. The teachers will be required to use the results of the Strengths Explorer to guide their instruction so that they're teaching to their students' strengths. I'm working with an organization out of Arizona called Ignite, who focuses on finding what makes kids passionately curious and creating curiosity galleries and curiosity projects. Kids are naturally and initially curious creatures. Instead of trying to train them out of it and forcing them to learn the way that we teach, we need to utilize and launch it so that they become the driving force of their education. So then, once we get the teachers and the students, and Brandon and I will get Sacramento and then the world. So we have a lot to do and it's time to get to work. Thank you.